Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, we're gonna do a bit of improvisation using Blender and Sketchup nodes. And I was inspired by this another artwork by Benny Govaerts. Um, it's quite beautiful. It's looking like a spiraling, kind of a spiraling shapes. Benny said it's actually very simple and made of just bunch of spheres. And this is all the modifiers that he used to make this artwork. But I kind of wondering if he actually used Boolean as well. I don't know. I didn't get this one, but I know it's made of a bunch of spheres. So let's try to recreate that. So I will be using nodes, and let's see. Let's have a look. I will be using sphere as well, and the output's gonna be viewer bmesh. So this is something to start. File, save as. Spheres. Benny. And if we want a bunch of sphere, we can use this matrix output. So we're gonna create the positioning. For example, I will be using line for now. So we can have an array of some sort. And we can turn it into spiral at some point. But spiral, we need to be careful with the number of spirals it's generating. So let's see how this is gonna take us. So this line, it makes 5 points by default. Let's use list length and take a look. Okay, we have 5 points, but spiral, by default, spirals will generate 100 or something. It's actually generating 700. Let's reduce this, turn resolutions to 5. Let's take a look using the viewer draw mk3. So this is spiral and this is the edges. So that spiral is not so interesting until we increase the resolutions, but mine this number is can be very large very quickly. So at some point we're gonna maybe use spiral. If we plug this into the matrix in of the sphere, we're gonna have spiral. But for now we're gonna use just line and try to understand what's going on. Okay, so we need list length later. So this is a sphere. Let's turn this off for now and focusing on the sphere itself. We're gonna create an array and we're gonna make the sphere smaller and smaller, or maybe larger and larger. It's up to you. For the size, we're gonna be using the scale, of course. So this scale is controlling the scale of the sphere. We can use range number range node. Oops, my computer is super slow. Let's put this down there. Number range. And we're gonna use an integer number, which is, let's make it 10 for now. So 10 sphere position based on this line. Okay, the line can actually go ups and down in Z, and the number range we want as a float. Count will be coming from this guy, start and stop. Okay, we want it to be larger and larger. So vector in, we can use all the X, Y, Z of the scale, plug this into the scale. So we have this pretty interesting. Even though the number range and the line is the stepping is kind of equal, we can actually modify this as well. But for now, just maybe put the sphere on top of each other, zero out the line. If we look at it with wireframe, we can see that's we get sphere on top of sphere on top of sphere, and we can actually increase this number. And we also have this number range, but like I said, the range is actually equal, so you can perhaps change that with the stepping. We don't worry about that for now. We know that we have a bunch of sphere. Let's make it like 20, or keep it 10 for now. We have a bunch of sphere. We can merge it. Now we have only a single sphere. We can have a cube. Enlarge the cube. Maybe use a Boolean. So this sphere, we're gonna Boolean it with the cube. Okay, so now we are getting something. This cube, we can keep it. We can turn the visibility viewport into just wire, so we can see what's underneath. Okay, so that's one. And the sphere currently is overlapping. I didn't use solidify, so it simply make the sphere. It's clever enough, and look at it. Okay, it's turning it into solid objects, but we're gonna use solidify anyway. So we have control over the thickness of our sphere. So this in a way is already quite interesting. Okay, so we have control for this. You can see it's create some kind of design. It's very strange, almost like Junji Ito, Japanese horror manga artist artwork. Just an array of stuff. Okay, so that's interesting. So we can control the radius of the sphere. So as long as it doesn't go out from this. Or we can try using scale and then scale this cube like that. So we have a lot more space. And now we can play around with this a little bit. Okay, so if we use the Z, what's gonna happen? So we have that kind of design variations. We just want this array, and we want the line to be a spiral in a way. So the sphere, we still have control over the radius. So now let's plug in our spiral. We just need to be careful with the number, otherwise it might crash if the number is too high. This guy, let's turn on viewer draw. So this list length is gonna be the number. And the spiral can goes into the position for our sphere. So now we have some kind of design. It's this mesh is a bit messy, so let's make smaller sphere. Oops. Make the spiral a bit smaller, so it's gonna cover our sphere. Slightly tricky, maybe radius really small for our sphere, and then not much resolution, just make it 8 by 8, easier to calculate for Sverchok. So we still have our sphere that's Boolean into the spiral. So I think the spiral needs to be really small. Yeah, it's a bit strange. Supposedly we meant to put the sphere on top of each other, but because this is too large, or the sphere is probably too small. Maybe we can use vector math and just simply multiply scalar. So make the spiral really small so the sphere can be covered. So working procedurally is it's fun, but sometimes also slightly confusing. But you got the idea. We are placing the sphere on top of every curve here of the spiral, and we just need to put the right number. So let's make this 6, 3. Maybe it's a good idea to turn this off and just look at the spiral for a moment. And the spiral, there are all kind of different spiral. There is one that's actually, this one is kind of like has equal space and it goes smaller and smaller. So that's really the idea. We want to use that value and plug it into the sphere so we can have results that's as good as Benny's artwork. I think this one is much simpler, but it looks so beautiful. That's why it's really interesting. Sometimes, unless someone show it to you, okay, this is how simple that is, and okay, it's suddenly okay, it makes sense. But for now, it's seems pretty complicated still. So I think this spiral needs to be really small, and we need to just array a sphere on top of it. So I'll make this sphere very small then, and then look at our sphere. Now it's starting to get somewhere. Maybe this guy have effects. So spiral, this length, count. Okay, so that was wrong. And the sphere have very little resolutions, and I can control the radius. So it's making a spiral now. It's getting better. Show cavity. So save just in case it crashes. So it's good. We have 25. So this guy is spiraling. It's not rotating. Maybe I should rotate it actually. Maybe I should rotate it in the, so I can slightly rotate the sphere as well, but I don't think that makes a lot of difference in this case. I might need a multiple value for the rotations to get an actual spiral. So if I'm increasing the number here, it's going to start to create spiral in terms of position. So we didn't rotate the sphere itself, just rotating from here, and we can see a spiral starting to develop. This reminds me of an artwork of an Australian artist, I believe. I think we can improve this look, but it's getting somewhere. So they shouldn't overlap, and we are generating a lot of positions on the fly. So now we have how many? Still only have 25. Okay, maybe this number can be larger. So we end up with this. So far so good. We still have control over the Boolean. I guess I can keep going with this, but it's starting to look like the inside of I forget the name, snail. Yeah. But anyway, it should be simpler. It's like a sphere on top of a sphere, but Benny didn't use Boolean. So what did he use actually? Oh, he used solidify. How did he cut into it? Interesting. But anyway, so that's a kind of like the thought process of using kind of like an array, using nodes inside SphereChalk add-on. We start with just a line, and we're thinking about the position, and then we change the line into spiral because we already have spiral nodes, and then we have this kind of design. Imagine a building with a spiral spacing, spiral area or something. Oh, it could be like a stair. But anyway, that's a really kind of marking around. Hopefully this helped you somewhere if you're just started with SphereChalk. This viewer bmesh and matrix and merge is almost like an array modifier in Blender, which can be simpler, depends on how you look at it. You have a lot more control with SphereChalk nodes, but you just need to get used to it. So yeah, thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.